you'll hear people say, create what people need to see. Create what you need to see. I don't believe that you should always take yourself out of it, because when you take yourself out of it, you get too far away from it. I ask God intentionally to use me as a vessel. And when you ask God to use you as a vessel, it is no longer your business, or you do not have jurisdiction on how to tell him how. And so being used is going to be in a way where God sees best. Whatever those burning desires and passions that just won't let you sleep good at night, y'all know what I'm talking about. You have to put that stuff out there because it is a part of your legacy. But if I do not focus on me, I can never be who I need to be for anybody else. You think about your ideas, the things that you will leave behind. That's a part of your legacy. What you create is a part of your legacy. When you act on your passion, it brings you peace. This one is for the millennial. Well, do y'all want me to stop saying millennial? So many people comment on the pod and they're like, girl, I'm 42. Girl, I'm 52. Girl, I'm 22. So I understand that these conversations expand outside of the millennial generation. They are definitely for everybody. So let me know if I need to take that out of the messaging of the pod. So until then, until y'all let me know if I should take it out, this one is for the millennial who needs to get their ideas out of their head and out into the world. Let's peel back the layers and go beneath the seams. Life can be so complex. The human experience is far more expansive than what we can see, and we spend so much time just trying to figure it out. We put on makeup, nice clothing, and we go out into the world trying to hold it all together. When beneath those seams, we are being ripped apart. Some of the ripping is self-inflicted, some of it is because of the pressure of society, but all of it is limiting. Limiting in our quest to just simply be who we truly are. We're more complex than we give ourselves credit for. We fill our brains with popular sayings like, oh, it ain't that serious, loosen up, or just live a little. But life in itself is a deep, non-surface level experience, and sometimes it can be pretty serious. So often we force ourselves to only exist at the surface, never allowing ourselves to be fully exposed. We let the layers pile up until the pressure becomes too much to bear, and then we rip. Sometimes into shreds, and a lot of the times in silence. Beneath means to go below the surface, and seams are what are supposed to keep us joined together. Because we are taught, no matter what, you just have to keep yourself together. We create this image, never letting people in, never going beneath the seams. I don't know if we ever get the answers we expect from life, but I'm starting to find peace in the process of just figuring it out. Instead of forcing the complexities of this human experience to be hidden, let's peel back the layers and go beneath them. Beneath the seams, a love letter to millennials who are just trying to figure it out. Beneath the Seams, the podcast, now available on all platforms. Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Seams. I am your host, Kayla Riggins, and this is the safe seat. This is the scene seat. This is the seat where we talk about the things that y'all don't be wanting to talk about. This is where we have vulnerable, intimate, honest conversations, and we unpack the things that never are really what they seem to be, okay? So Beneath the Seams is definitely talking about peeling back those layers. We go beneath the surface to really expose our true selves. And then it's also a space where things really seem like they're one way, and then we get to the truth that it really ain't like that. And so that is what the Beneath the Seams experience is all about. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you guys are enjoying the pod and enjoying these conversations. And today we got to get into some things because the girls are playing small. The girls are playing with their potential. The girls are shrinking. The girls are not being obedient. And we're going to talk all about that today. Okay, let's get into it. So you guys have heard it before. It is important for you to get your ideas out of your head, to go after your dreams, to accomplish what it is that you feel like you are here to do, because there are people uniquely assigned to you, right? What you do affects someone else. And while that is a fundamental belief of mine, I want to talk about it from a more macro perspective. And so there is a lot of discourse lately. I don't know if y'all be looking on the internets, the wwws and the .coms. But there's a lot of discourse lately online speaking out against self-seeking ideas and entities. So there's a lot of discourse speaking out against manifestation, for example. People saying that manifestation is too centered on self and not enough centered on God. There's also a lot of content about people speaking out against pastors who preach self-serving messages. This idea that you have what you need, of course, with God, but this idea that everything that you need is inside of you. There are people speaking out against those ideologies and really kind of negatively talking about the people who really want to do things for themselves. In some of my videos, I too have been called selfish. Some of the, responses to some of the subject matters, people have said, you're selfish. Of course, I don't care what they think, but I do have some ideas around what it is, what it means to really focus on yourself and how other people are still connected to that. So I don't know, call me selfish. I mean, I am an only child, but I do believe that there is a great deal of focus that has to be placed on yourself and your relationship with self. Because y'all, that's who we spend the most time with, okay? The most intimate, significant relationship of them all is going to be with yourself, in the physical, that is. Of course, you have your spiritual relationships, but I ain't never met God. I mean, if y'all have, let me know. But I ain't never known nobody to come back and say, I actually met God. And so God is a spiritual being. But here in the physical, the person that you're going to spend the most time with is yourself. And I feel like when you're operating outside of anywhere else, outside of that self, that heart, that's when things start to feel misaligned. You cannot operate from a space outside of yourself. And when it comes to accomplishing goals, getting your ideas out of your head and out into the world, I think you have to start with self. Whether that's healing yourself, doing it for yourself, all of those things affect other people. And I have a deeply rooted belief that yes, we are significantly assigned to different people. But I also believe that we are assigned to each other in a divine way. And it's kind of like a domino effect. Like when one person takes an action, they could be all the way on the other side of the world, but the energy of that action transfers, and those people are uniquely called and aligned to you, and it inspires them to take action, right? And when I think about this podcast and the community that we are building around it, I really want to take the time to dedicate this episode to y'all. And so I'm coming with receipts in this episode that are not about me, even though, y'all know, y'all like to accuse people of being me. But in this episode, I'm coming with receipts of things that you guys have shared with me in regards to how this podcast, me submitting to myself and doing this, has changed y'all. And I'm hoping to share those examples to shed a light on how when people say that this is bigger than you, what that really means. And I think a lot of times when people say you have to put your ideas out into the world, you have to dream big, you have to go after what you really want, it's bigger than you. I think a lot of times that actually turns people off and may scare people a little bit to think that something that they feel called to do is bigger than them. Hey girl, I know. You like, Kayla, what are you doing interrupting my episode? I know you had your snacks and you was all in it, but hear me out. After this episode is over, I don't want the conversation to end here. So I want to invite you. This is your exclusive invitation to be a part of my community because you are my people. And that's the name of my Patreon community, my people. So over there, you get access to exclusive content. We have monthly virtual dates where we connect and we have these real conversations. We keep the topics going. You get to have Q&A with me. You also get to meet and connect with each other. And pretty soon, some events are going to be happening too. So if this is your type of content, if you like deep conversations, if you want to create meaningful connections that really just help us be more of ourselves and be better to each other so that we can really experience the beauty that is life, I want you over there, a part of my people, because we see each other, okay? So make sure you click that link, join my Patreon community, and I will see you over there. Listen, don't meet me there, beat me there, okay? All right, go ahead, pick your snack back up, get back to the episode. And so while I don't disagree with that, I want to offer a different perspective. Sure, it may be bigger than you, but it's also right here with you. It's the same size as you. And what I mean by that is when you create and you put your ideas and your things out into the world, if you do it from a place of where you are, people are going to connect with that. And that has been the experience that you guys have been having around the podcast. So in episode 1, when I bought back this podcast after a 4-year hiatus. It was originally an IGTV series, and I bought it back in podcast format in March of this year. And in that episode, I talked about how I was being haunted, that the idea of something that I had created, something that I felt like was received so well and connected to other people, the idea that I had abandoned it definitely haunted me. In fact, the title of that episode is How to Refocus After Abandoning Your Dreams. And so in the first clip of that episode, I talked about how it will not shake you. Like, it will not leave you alone. It will annoy the hell out of you until you answer that calling, until you do that thing that you feel in your gut that you are called to do. I actually want to play a clip from y'all. Listen to exactly what I said. When you feel that thing tugging at you, that is for a reason. And as long as you continue to ignore that, you will be ill mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. And so because I was ignoring that calling and in a lot of ways running from it, not only did it haunt me, but I was physically ill. My mental illness, and when I say mental illness, I mean me being sick in my head about not really going after my dreams, not really showing up to do something that I really want to do, that made me physically ill. Like, it manifested itself physically. And so I would find myself just depressed and miserable because I wasn't creating in that way. And so I do believe everybody won't have such a extreme reaction, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Those things that wake you up at night, the thoughts that come out of nowhere in the shower. You ever be down to the bar, slapping five with your friends and having a good old time, and then suddenly you thinking about an idea that you want to put out or something you want to work on? That's still that little whisper. That's that haunting. That's that thing that won't leave you alone. And I think until you actually put it out there, you're never going to fully be at peace. And so I talk a lot in these conversations about going through this thing we call life and figuring out how to find peace in whatever process it is. And I think a part of that peace is taking significant action towards your passion. When you act on your passion, it brings you peace. And so I want to explore all of that, and I want to do it around the lens of things that y'all have said. And so we're going to go beneath the comments early, okay, in this episode. If you guys are new here, okay, welcome. If you ain't ever seen my face or heard my voice before, hello, come on in. I hope you stay a while. But beneath the comments is the part of the show where I read different comments and questions and feedback from the community. And we usually do it towards the end of the show, but because today's show is centered around you guys, I'm going to use comments to further illustrate the bigger point, which is that, girl, you got to get those ideas out of your head and on paper and then into the world, okay? Out of your head, on paper, in the world. That's the order. Say it with me. Out of your head, on paper, in the world. Out of your head, on paper, in the world, okay? Put that in the comments. Out of your head, on paper, and into the world, okay? So that is the order that I want to take, and I want to share with you guys some feedback from you guys to hopefully inspire you to take that first step. Or maybe it's the second step or the third step. It is okay to come back to stuff. It is okay to start as many times as you feel like you need to, okay? It is a core belief of mine that God influences everything, including the algorithm. It is not lost on me that what I'm saying connects with people in an intimate way. I think it's important to understand that when you are creating from a space that is not outside of yourself, you can't help but resonate with people. Hearts connect with hearts. And so when you think about how you want to show up or whatever idea you want to put out, this is not for people who want to be content creators. This is not exclusively for people who want to be content creators or podcast hosts. I'm talking about whatever ideas you have. If you want to start a sewing business for seniors, if you want to start a hobby of, learning how to play the piano or, ice skating, I don't care, whatever it is, whatever ideas that you have, even if it's not a digital idea, something that you want to do offline, you want to garden, you want to grow a garden, like whatever ideas, that energy of releasing stuff, that's the goal of what I want to make sure we are centered around today. So the first comment that I'm going to share as we go beneath the comments, the user is Innocence Soyela. I hope I be saying y'all names right. I actually shared this comment before, but her comment was so simple. She said, "Your channel is saving me." And when I first read her comment, I was like, girl, Jesus saves. Don't put that on me. Do not put that on me, okay? Jesus saves. That is his job. I got enough stuff to worry about. Don't put that on me. And then after I got over myself and out of my own head, I realized that I asked God intentionally to use me as a vessel. And when you ask God to use you as a vessel, it is no longer your business, or you do not have jurisdiction on how to tell him how. And so being used is going to be in a way where God sees best. And so when she says your channel is saving me, remember, when you're creating from a space that's coming from your heart, I was like, I don't even know what to respond to her. But because I am in a very vulnerable, intimate space as I commit to being here and doing this, I was able to say simply, I said, me too, sis. In a lot of ways, me being able to share what I'm going through with y'all and y'all's feedback to it, it's also saving me. It's also healing me in this season. And so a lot of times you'll hear people say, create what people need to see. Create what you need to see. I don't believe that you should always take yourself out of it, because when you take yourself out of it, you get too far away from it. I personally experienced that in my content creation and entrepreneurship journey. I got so far away from creating for myself and creating things that I needed, and I got focused on helping other people get a result, that I neglected my own content, my own creative ideas. And as a result, I was miserable. It literally made me physically ill, y'all. Like depressed, like really sick. And so I do not believe that you should go so far away from yourself. I think when your heart posture is correct, you can be self-serving and still understand that there is value tied to you being able to express yourself or put your ideas out in a way that connect with other people. And so her comment saying, your channel is saving me, that was so loud and also so humbling. And I don't even believe in humility like that, but that's a whole nother episode. But it was humbling in a way to know, like, girl, you got to stay the course. Like, this is what it means when people say something is bigger than you. And so although my channel being able to help save her does count as being bigger than me, it's also the example, like I said earlier, is right there with me, because the reason why she was able to resonate is because I am speaking from a place of where I am going through probably similar things. And I don't know what sis is going through. She didn't share any other details. She just said, your channel is saving me from what? I don't even know. But the point is that because I'm able to be here authentically and put my ideas out, other people are affected. And so again, my goal here is for you to not downplay self. I want you to fully submit to self. In July, I went home to New Orleans for Essence and I stayed for 2.5 weeks. And I called it my summer sabbatical. And in that time, it's something about going back to your birthplace, going back to your roots, going back to the South where my roots ain't watered down. What that is Beyonce be saying? Yeah, that. It's something about that gives you a good reset. And in that time, I wanted to reset where I was born, because I want to spend the last 6 months of the year, right, fully submitting to self, going after the desires of what I want. And a lot of times people feel like that's very self-serving and that's very selfish. But if I do not focus on me, I can never be who I need to be for anybody else. And I feel like that in interpersonal relationships as well. If I'm not whole, if I'm not at a mentally stable place, if I don't have capacity, I'm never going to be able to be a good friend, a good daughter, a good wife, a good mother. None of those things affect your interpersonal relationships. But then taking it more to like the idea side of things and career paths and just whatever the creativity is that you need to release, until you get to a place where you're doing it for you, you're never going to be consistent. People won't really resonate with it in a way that is authentic. And you're going to burn out because it's not really aligned to who you are at your core. And so those are the things that I'm learning in this season. And I want to make sure that you guys are understanding that you're teaching me that. Okay. I have doubt. I have moments where my faith is weak. I struggle with my faith all the time. But in me showing up, I get to learn how to move forward. And you guys are helping me do that. So thank you, friends. All right. So let's move on to another comment. We beneath the scenes all show, y'all. So this one is actually one of my favorites. So the most viral, if you will, video since I relaunched the pod was the one titled, of course, I'm 33 and I'm okay without being somebody's mama or wife. On my channel, it has, I think it's like 72,000 views. And then someone shared a clip to TikTok, which is like right over 500,000 views right now. And so it has circulated and made its way around the web. And of course, there's come a great deal of positivity and also, you know, a great deal of people who had stuff to say, but I don't care because this is my life and my salvation. So whatever. But what I love about this comment so much, y'all. Now the whole episode, again, this is, stay with me. The whole episode was about my willingness to choose to be happy no matter if I became a wife or a mother, right? Wanting to make sure that I enjoy the life that God has given me now without having to think about the what if factors. That's what the episode was about. Now, people in the comments tussling. They windmilling, they tussling, like it was a lot of conversation, okay? But you know, Beyonce say, you know you that bitch when you cause all this conversation. So clearly I had enough thoughts around it and was able to express it in a way where it got the girls was rambling, okay? The girls was, and so a lot of the conversation was back and forth. I'm weak at myself. A lot of the conversation was back and forth about people's different views and opinions about the title of the episode. But in the weeds of it all, this young lady said, and this is Southwest Houston, TX is the name. She said, this video was confirmation to move forward with my podcast. I've been saying for a while that I want to start one. Even wrote down some names a couple of weeks ago. I talk a lot and love to talk, but not everybody around me wants to hear it. A podcast would allow me to talk, share my perspective, and reach audiences with people who actually want to hear me. I know my voice is a gift as well. And so you guys hear me talk about that all the time, how I know my gifting, my spiritual gifting is my voice. I know that me being able to use it, that wasn't, God didn't make no mistake there. That wasn't just casual. There's a level of intentionality behind, you know, me using my voice. And so what I loved about this comment so much was that in the middle of tussling, y'all ever see them videos where something is going on, like somebody's like running away from something, or there's like pure chaos breaking out, and it's that one person, and it'd be like if Unbothered was a person who's sitting there eating a sandwich in the middle of people running from something. This is what this comment gave me. In the middle of all that chaos, right? She said, I don't give a damn about this title of this video. Like, what y'all talking about? Okay, that's cool. But what this has inspired me to do is to start my own. And I love that so much because sometimes it takes for you to see someone doing it for it to click for you, which is why representation is so real. And I love that in order for her to be able to get the courage, the hope, the inspiration, the skill set, whatever it is she felt like she needed, there was something about me doing it that resonated with her and gave her the power to start. And that is a part of being centered on self, but knowing that it's going to help other people. Me showing up, doing the podcast, talking about my experience or my opinion, it inspired her to do something that she had been sitting on. And so this is why you got to get them ideas out of your head and on paper and then out into the world. Okay? Put it in the chat. Out of your head, on paper, and then out into the world. All right. So the next comment that I want to highlight, this is from Jessica. I'm going to butcher this. Jessica 2306, she'll know who she is. She said, hi, I love your channel and podcast. I found it a few days ago and I've been watching all of your past episodes. Come on, binge. We love a binge. Like you said in this episode, I also love when God speaks through people. And I believe that in my life, God is using you as a vessel to help me through a difficult time. Wow. She said, I thank you for your content. Again, if I would have listened to the naysayers and the people who felt like creating content, podcasting, telling your story is self-centered and it's all about me, then I wouldn't be able to be a vessel to help this young lady get through a difficult time. Again, I don't know what she's going through, but I pray for y'all. I pray before every episode that this lands on the hearts and minds of the people who need to see it. And so for her to say that she believes God is using me as a vessel, that's a very specific prayer that I pray. So that's nothing but God. And so I want you to understand, like I get excited just talking about it. When people say that you are uniquely assigned to people, that shit is real, y'all. Like there are people who won't get it until they hear you say it. They won't read it until you write it. They won't buy it until you design it. Okay. There are people who are uniquely assigned to your voice, and your people will know your voice. And that's, of course, metaphorically speaking. I ain't saying that somebody heard my actual speaking voice and was like, that's her. That's my person. Right. But the way you speak, the way you express, whatever creativity, whatever art that you have to offer to the world, it's important that you put those ideas out there. And I want you to know that art is subjective. Don't you think just because you may have some type of idea around science or some type of idea around math that it's not art. I personally believe that anything that you conceive in your heart and then make come to life is creativity. Creation is all around us. And the first thing that God told us about himself is that he was what? Creative, when he created the heavens and earth. So I don't want anybody to think that in this conversation, I'm speaking to a particular group of people. I'm talking to all y'all. And I always say, if it resonates with you, you're going to know, because it's going to hit you in your soul in a different way. And that's how you know you my people. All right. So the next comment that I want to read, it comes from a frequent commenter and supporter. Her name is Buffy. Hold on. I don't want to butcher it. Buffy Summers 2904. She says, oh my goodness, you read my comment on the pod. That I'm reading another one, girl. This honestly made me tear up. I really appreciate your thoughts and words. She said, this episode made me feel so connected to the world, knowing that others are going through similar challenges while paths might be different. I'm so glad you encouraged us to comment, because I felt a bit annoying leaving multiple comments. Girl, listen, you will never annoy me with your comments, okay? Unless you're trolling me, then you're going to get blocked. But that's not you, because you're my people. And so what I want to unpack with her comment, she said, this made me feel so connected to the world. Y'all, we are in a place where there is a longing for connection. I feel like isolation in a way has been hyper promoted and glamorized, disappear, focus on you, phone always on do not disturb. And while I believe in focusing on you, and I believe in fully submitting to yourself, I don't believe that that is a solo journey. In order for you to be able to really make anything happen, you need other people. I believe God gives every human being, every species, really every living species, what they need to survive in their environment. And so I say this all the time. There are certain fish who have certain fins and certain hands and stuff like that. There are certain, like for example, a skunk has that stinky spray stuff. Other animals have horns and stuff like that. That's what God gave that species to survive out in their environment. I think what God gave the humans to survive in our environment is each other. And we are not leveraging that enough. And there's a huge disconnect. In so many experiences and conversations I've had over the past couple of months, there's a longing for intimacy and connection. People want to feel like they are not alone. People want to feel like that the thoughts that they are thinking are not just theirs and that they're not crazy. And for me, y'all have definitely affirmed that with the podcast. I know for a fact that y'all have said to me, so I definitely know it. Oh my God, I can't believe somebody else feels like that. Or, oh my God, you articulated this perfectly. I wasn't able to put it into words, but this is how I'm feeling. So for her to say that she feels connected with the world. Again, I don't know you guys personally, so I don't know the intricacies of what you may be going through. But to help you feel better connected in the society that you have to live in, that is definitely something that is bigger than me. And so again, this podcast, my little idea, my baby, if I didn't put it out into the world, who's missing connection? Who's missing intimacy, right? What lives that are aligned to me aren't being impacted because I'm choosing to be small. I'm choosing to play it small. I want to shrink. I'm in my head about it. I'm choosing to not focus on myself. Girl, you better get in your bag and focus on yourself and get them ideas. What's the process? Out of your head, onto paper, and out into the world. And in that order, word to Mama D, okay? So the next one is, I'm telling you, we've been neat the comments all episode. So the next one, she says, love your podcast. Literally came into my life right when I needed it most. Again, and that came from, because I like to shout y'all out, that came from SMA 555. Is that small? 555. Again, I don't know who that is. I don't know what they're going through, but she said it came into her life when she needed it the most. And so in some way, the prayer that I'm asking God to answer, which is to use me as a vessel, is being fulfilled through this medium. And that's why I say you can't ask God to use you and then want to choose how. So if you have something in your heart, if you've conceived it in your heart, and you go to God with it, you owe it to yourself to be obedient, to put whatever that is out. I know it sounds cliche, but there are people waiting on you to be you so that they can be them. It is not lost on me. One of the compliments people give me all the time, and it's just, I don't take it for granted. They was like, you're so confident. And, sometimes it's a backhanded compliment. We talked about that in the confidence episode. But for those who mean well, one of the compliments I get all the time is like, watching you be you inspires me to be me, or watching you be you makes it okay for me to be me. Even in my personal relationships, like one of my really good friends, Shar, she says all the time, like, I love hanging out with you. I love being around you because you're just so you. It makes me know that I can be me. And I feel like there are spaces that we enter where we have to wear masks, particularly at work, in certain relationships and certain friendships. We don't feel like we could fully be ourselves. And so I love that, the premise of this pod is to have these conversations so that we can have better relationships and fully be ourselves in the short time that we're here on earth. And so when I think about her comment, that's what it made me think of. It's like, it was what she needed right at a specific time in her life. And it's not my business what that is. That's between her and God. But me being able to submit to the process of being a vessel is a reason to put these ideas out there. Okay, now this one is actually really good. So I told y'all the video went viral on Twitter this week. And another creator shared it. Shout out to her, Holistic Mommy. Her name is Ariel, Lee Ariel, I believe. She shared it on her Twitter and it went viral. And so there's somebody who reposted it, and she said, people confuse legacy with lineage. She said, kids are not a legacy. A legacy is what you contribute to society and what you leave behind. And then the conversation expanded to your legacy being what you create. And so, of course, I resonate with that because y'all know I don't know if I want them damn kids. So it makes you feel like, well, damn, like if I don't want children, does that mean I not leave a legacy behind? And that's why it's important to understand the meaning of things, because words mean things, and people conflate legacy and lineage. I thought that was a very great way of breaking it down, because I've always said the work that I put out into the world is my legacy. My friends' kids are a part of my legacy. Anybody who I'm able to impact is a part of my legacy. I don't subscribe to the notion that legacy has to look like offspring. And so when you think about your ideas, the things that you will leave behind, that's a part of your legacy. What you create is a part of your legacy. Whatever those burning desires and passions that just won't let you sleep good at night, y'all know what I'm talking about. You have to put that stuff out there because it is a part of your legacy. One day, 100 years from now, some little teeny bopper kid is going to stumble across this video, this very podcast episode, probably in some type of archival library, and I'll be big kicking it in heaven, long gone. And they will learn something from this. This will be used as a part of something. That is a part of my legacy. And so if legacy is something that's important to you, that's even more reason why you got to get them ideas out of your head and into the world. Okay. So this one is from That Bartender 8062. I absolutely love your videos. They're so beautiful, hopeful, and genuine. That hopeful touched me because I feel like we live in a time where people have lost hope in terms of, and myself included, I struggle with that in terms of if what I want is really possible for me. And so to say that I'm able to give hope, I just think that's a beautiful thing. She said, the subjects of your videos are things that I've always thought about and tried to talk to others about. It's amazing to have almost an hour of it. Here's where she got me, y'all. She said she was raised Catholic until she was 12. Then she decided at 12 that she didn't believe in God. And that's what she declared to her father. And she said she's labeling herself as agnostic. She said, but these videos have actually made me revisit my relationship with God. And it's been a very warm experience. Now, this one, I was like, whoa, because spirituality is 100% a part of these conversations because it's a part of me and it's a space that I'm in heavy right now in my life, really getting centered with who I am. And I believe in order to do that, you have to get to know more about who God is because we're made in his image. And so to know that something that I said inspired you to get closer to all of our creators, right? Your creator, that one really like hit me in my throat, particularly because I don't always feel like doing this. I struggle with the same thing everybody do: disbelief, self-belief, negative self-talk, all of those things. And so to know that by me simply sharing my story, because I don't have it all figured out. I'm not the most religious person. I'm not the most biblically astute. I don't have the best understanding of things. I'm just letting y'all know what I got going on and hoping that it helps you with what you got going on. Okay. So to know that me doing that inspires someone to want to take another look at their relationship with the higher power, that's legacy. You know what I mean? That's impact. And this is not a big Kayla up type of conversation. Y'all know I'm a confident mother. Okay. And I can talk about me all day, but I hope you feel me and I hope you understand my heart posture when I say this is the realizations that I'm having and I feel convicted in my spirit to share with y'all. You got to do what's in your head because it is bigger than you. It is connected to something. And I think in a way, we are all very much connected. It's a ripple effect. And so me taking one step causes somebody in Alaska to take another. I truly believe that, especially with the power of the internet. Now, if whatever you want to do doesn't involve the digital space, that's fine. I believe in the same thing. Whatever it is that you're working on is connected to people. And if God gives us what we need to survive in our environment, and for me, I believe that that's each other, we have to continue to do things that help each other and that connect us to each other. So that was the takeaway from that comment. And so I want to wrap up this conversation by saying this is usually a conversation that I would have on my other podcast when we talk about personal branding and putting yourself out there. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm a personal branding strategist. And so I help women create the content that brands themselves online. That's my job. That is my business. And so usually I try to keep this space very separate. Like Beneath the Seams is not about anything work related. It's about everything, right? So it's not niched, but it's literally whatever it is that we are going through, but more so focusing on self-actualization so that we can have better lives. And so when I thought about the idea of having this conversation around putting your ideas out into the world, I was like, well, maybe this should live over on the other platform. Like it's more about, I usually have these conversations about content and stuff like that, but I was convicted in my spirit to share it here because ideas are bigger and they exist beyond just content and just digital things. That's my arena. That's how I choose to use my gifts. But however you choose to use yours may look different. I believe I when I was home for that sabbatical, I'm so extra calling it a sabbatical. One of my friends, I went over to see her new baby. And a bunch of the girls who were bridesmaids in her wedding, we were there. And one of them, she was like, hey, it's so good to see you. She was like, I've been loving your content lately. She was like, let me ask you a question. What is it that keeps you like creating? Like, what is it that keeps you showing up? Like the online space can be, you know, a lot sometimes. And I said, who you telling? Okay. And the answer that I gave her in the moment, I think was an answer that I needed to hear myself. And I think God used me to talk to me in that moment. And I said to her, I was like, honestly, I know that my voice is a part of my gift. There is no question about that. I said, but I think when you have a gifting, you also have an arena assigned to that gifting. So when you have a gifting, you also have an arena assigned to that gifting. And some singers, they can blow the house down, but they use their gifts to serve in ministry. Some people kind of gig at local jazz clubs, and then some people are Beyonce. Those are the same gift, the gift of voice and song and being able to sing and, affect people, bring people joy and all types of different emotion that music does, but they have different arenas to use it. So the person who leads praise and worship at church and the person who tours and sells out arenas, they both sing. They both have the gifts of moving people and making people feel something through music, but the arenas in which they use their gifts are different. And so for me, when it comes to using my voice, I could very well have been a school teacher, or I could, be I could have started a nonprofit. Like there are so many different ways to use my voice, but I believe the digital space and online is my arena. And so as you start to think about whatever your idea is, also start to think about the arena that you feel called to use it in, because everything is not going to look the same way for everybody. This is not a conversation where I'm trying to convince you to create content. This is a conversation where I'm trying to convey to you that whatever your idea is, it needs to be out of your head, onto the paper, and out into the world. Okay? Say it with me now. Out of your head, onto the paper, and out into the world. So because we went beneath the comments all show, I want to take some time to specifically dedicate this episode to those of you who have been so encouraging to me. Those of you who leave comments, those of you who write me privately, people who have shared it. I cannot express my gratitude enough, because your sharing helps with the platform. Honestly, it helps to make a goal of mine come to fruition. And so without you, it would be much harder to use my gift. And so I appreciate you. I want to know in the comments, because we went beneath the comments the whole episode, so no need to do that. But I want to know in the comments, what ideas do you have that you've been sitting on that you just really need to get out into the world? Let's have an honest conversation about it so that we can help each other and build community around that process, so that you can put out there what serves yourself, but ultimately, will help serve other people. And then lastly, y'all, I want to build community around the pod. And I don't know how to do it. So tell me in the comments, in what ways would you like to, outside of watching the episodes, have community? We have the Patreon community, so I would love to see some of you guys join over there. But do you want an email list? I don't know. Let me know what ways. And if you girl, I don't need all of that, just keep the podcast episodes coming. That's fine too. Let me know your honest opinion of how you would be interested in interacting beyond the episodes and beyond leaving a comment. I want to be able to talk to some of y'all via the Zoom and actually have more personal interactions beyond me sitting here talking to y'all. I want y'all to be able to talk back to me in real time. And so that's the purpose of joining my people over on Patreon. But I also want to hear more ideas about what you would be interested to see. I'm really intentional about building this space around us. It's not just about me. So when I ask for your feedback, I really want it. I'm not one of those people who just be asking for feedback for the sake of getting you to say something in the comments. I really want to know what you have to say, because if I didn't, I wouldn't ask. So yeah, let me know in the comments what ideas you have, and I look forward to figuring out how to continue to bring us together. All right, y'all, before we get out of here, if you can find it in your heart, if you are listening over on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. The reviews over there are struggling. Okay. And I'm going to keep singing until they're not struggling no more. So if you find it in your heart, take the time, 5 stars. If you feel like it's a 5-star pod, whatever stars you feel like it is, rate it over there on Apple Podcasts. Leave a comment. It helps other people find the show. So I definitely appreciate you. And listen, until we are in the safe seat, in the scene seat again, where we're unpacking the things that aren't really what they seem. Listen, no matter what you are going through, no matter what ideas you have, no matter what you're working on, my wish for you, my prayer for you is that you simply find peace in the process of just figuring it out. I will see you guys next time. Bye.